In this PowerPoint, we're going to continue to talk about self-management and how creators take responsibility for themselves and work effectively and efficiently in those first two quadrants, quadrant 1 and 2. And I'm going to give you some great tips on how you can be successful in those quadrants and maybe some different activities that you will want to engage in on a weekly basis to help you stay organized and on top of your work. Today's quote is, "Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein." And I find this quote very interesting because if you look at each of those individuals, think about all of their accomplishments. And then think about the meaning and the impact that we have on a daily basis and what we work to accomplish. I always laugh when my players tell me they're tired. They're 18, 19 years old, and they're going to class, and they go to practice. And I laugh because, I have a full-time job. I'm going to that same practice, and then I have to go home and take care of 3 children. And by no means am I the most tired individual, but I say that because it's all about perspective. Their perspective is coming from that of a college student. They're just exhausted. My perspective is that of a mother, but I can't imagine the time commitments that Mother Teresa had, or Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein. If you think about those individuals, the amount of effort and work was contributed to each of their days to accomplish their goals and be as successful as they were. It's just astounding. So when we think about how tired we are or how we utilize our day, let's think about these individuals and see if we can maximize our time and efforts throughout the day. This is a great little video. It's on the value of time and how we spend our time. And I always say, don't spend time doing something, invest your time. You only get to do it once, and I strongly encourage you to do it right and be successful. All right, self-management. And money and time have several things in common. Time and money both can be saved. Okay, you can find ways to save time doing something. You can obviously save your money. I just said invest your time. So invest your time and energy into something that is meaningful to you. Same with your money. You can budget your time throughout the day. We are always constantly managing our time and budgeting it for one activity or the other. We spend time and money, and then unfortunately we do waste both time and money as well. And that's unfortunate because those are great resources to us. You can't exactly manage time. You can't turn back the hands on the clock, but you can manage yourself and how you utilize that time. So on a day-to-day basis, I encourage you to not spend time, but rather invest your time into those quadrant 1 and 2 activities. So here's some tips that we can utilize to help us maximize our days, also maximize our time as a creator in quadrant 1 and 2. One thing that you can definitely do is use a calendar. And that may be like in the form of an old school planner. It could be a wall calendar. It could be your calendar on your phone, using the Pulse app. Those things are going to help you manage appointments. They're going to help you manage commitments that you have, and then those ever important assignments that you have coming at you. So putting them on a calendar, knowing where they're at, knowing what other obligations that you have, maybe through work, appointments, time commitments, that will help you manage your time and be out in front of these assignments. I like the little cartoon here. It says, "Oh crap, was that today?" Well, if they would have put it on their calendar, they would have known. They would have been on the ark and not be left on the sand hill that is creeping away every second. Another great resource is the Next Action List. This allows you to record everything you need to do next. And I have Next Action Lists on my desk every day. It's basically my to-do list for the day. And you want to talk about stress relief. Stress relief is when you can mark off those things on your next action list. And what I typically do when I get to the office is I write my list for the day, what has to be done most immediately. My quadrant 1 things go at the top. Quadrant 2 is next. And then I don't even put quadrant 3 or 4 type activities on my next action list because those things really have no value and no importance. How to use and create your next action list. You're going to write your life roles or corresponding goals. You can always do that at the top just to keep you focused. List quadrant 1 actions for each of those goals, then list your quadrant 2 actions for each goal as well. Work through your list, marking off your actions upon completion. And when new things come up, you're going to add those to your list. Another great resource is your tracking form. So say you have this goal, and for example here, it's earning a 3.5 GPA. I call that a performance goal. That's a big goal. It's hard to measure that other than ultimately at the end of the semester you see whether or not you got a 3.5 or not. But there are certain process goals that you can do along the way that you can measure to make sure you're going to be on target or on track to earn your performance goal. So going to the ASC every day could be a process goal to help you achieve that 3.5. Attending all your classes is another process goal that can help you achieve that ultimate goal. Really what it does is it helps coordinate your actions with things that you repeat on a daily basis to help you reach your directed common goal. It keeps your inner defender from fooling you. Sometimes you say, oh yeah, I did that. Why am I failing? Well, when you really look and you map it out, you realize that maybe you weren't as effective and on course as you thought you were. So every day for 15 days, you're marking off, well, I went to the ASC November 1st. I'm going to mark that. I attended all my classes that day. And you just check it off every day. And at the end of the 2 weeks, you can look and see, I was on task, I was on track. And then maybe if you're still coming up short, you can maybe analyze a different area that will help you reach that performance goal. This next one is the waiting for list. When you have big projects going on, lots of times you're waiting on either someone or something to complete the process. So you have a folder that maybe sits on your desk that is there, so when you do get the additional information that you need, you can add it to that project folder. This may be things like your handouts for an assignment, name, contact information, a next action list for your project, assignments for each member, research materials, websites. But use this folder to keep you organized. We know successful students are students that are organized and have a great effective process, and a waiting for list and a project folder can be very effective for you in that. All right, know these 3 things. There's 3 essential ingredients for success. It's commitment, focus, and persistence. So any given semester, perfectly capable students are going to abandon their goals and dreams, and it's because they get distracted. It gets a little hard, it gets a little complicated. They have a couple roadblocks. If you want to be successful in life, if you want to be successful as a student, you have to be committed. You have to focus on your goals every day, even when it gets a little bit hard and gets a little uncomfortable, and you just have to be persistent. You cannot give up on your dreams. There's a reason why you made those goals, so you have to persevere even when the going gets tough. Keep in mind, and if you think about it like this, college is not a sprint. It doesn't happen overnight. Some of you are in it for 4 years, some of you are in it for 2, and if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, maybe you're in it for 8 or 9 years. So it's not a sprint, but it truly is a marathon. So if you're persistent, if you're able to keep your focus, if you're able to be committed to your goals, you will survive what I call the grind of college. Don't do a little, don't do a lot, a little. So maybe you don't do all 5 of the strategies given, but rather do a little, a lot. So maybe you choose 1 or 2 of those methods, the monthly calendar and the tracking form, to keep you on task and organized in your studies. A final one that I want you to consider is the 32-day commitment plan. This helps you create a new habit. So we know that it takes about 30 days, studies have shown this, to create a new habit. So if we have a 32-day commitment form, we can check off the day when we were on task and working towards our goal. So it's just another way, kind of similar to your tracking form, to keep you on target. Hopefully these tips will help you as you work to manage time. Remember that you have the opportunity to save time by effective planning. You have the opportunity to invest your time into the things that are most important to you. You have the ability to budget time using one of those 5 or 6 strategies that I've given you today. You can spend time and you can waste time, but those are not what creators will do in their life. They are going to invest their time in the things that mean the most, and they're going to be effective planners out in front, proactive with their time management.